Right, when I said I was back in a regular content production schedule, I lied. Okay, long story short, we moved house. We bought a house, which obviously has a bunch of extra stress added in on top of like just moving generally. So yeah, I didn't really have the brain space to make videos, is all there is to that. Cool, I'm gonna get started and dive into the content of this video. So today I just wanna go through what my I do want to talk a little bit about the channel itself and where that's going, and I've just had a bit of a rethink on where I'm going with this and what I want to do with it, so I'm going to talk briefly about that. I'm going to go over, just recap what my achievements were last year, and then looking into this year what I want to achieve, just trying to carry on from that and improve on what I did last year. So yeah, we'll dive into those goals in a minute. So in terms of the channel in general, I think I've come to the conclusion I'm not actually that motivated to make videos a lot of the time, which is obviously a problem if you're trying to like have a YouTube channel. So what I have kind of been thinking over the last few days is that I said in a previous video that I wanted to make gear reviews a bit more often. I don't like making gear reviews. They're not that interesting to me. I might make them occasionally if I happen to have like a pair of shoes or something that I like a lot. But other than that, I'm not going to make myself do them because I don't like doing them. So there's really no point. I was also trying to kind of make myself stick to a schedule of uploading weekly, and I don't really know if I should make myself stick to that, because I tend to start sort of resenting the need to have to come up with a video every week. And YouTube's never going to be my like career or even a part-time job. Let's face it, this channel's not really going to take off, or I doubt it is, because it's a bit too niche and I really don't have like the time and brain space in my life at the minute anyway to make it into something that's going to take off or grow really quickly. So I'm just going to make videos when I have something to make videos about. That might be weekly, or it might not. There might be a 2-month gap. We're just going to see how it goes. I'm going to go with the flow. I'm not going to worry about growing the channel, because, to be honest, if I make a video and 50 people watch it and find it useful or whatever, cool. If 1,000 people watch it, also cool. Like, the number of people that watch it is sort of an additional benefit. When I want to make a video about something, I enjoy the process, I enjoy making it, I upload it, some people watch it, cool. I'm not really interested in being like a big YouTuber or anything, so I'm just going to upload when I feel like I have something to talk about or record, pretty much. Right, on with the actual meat of the video. Last year was a pretty big year in terms of personal achievements. I started a new career, so that was exciting. I finally broke away from my previous career, which was driving me into the ground and giving me PTSD. Yeah, new career, feeling really good about that, enjoying it a lot. I'm just a lot more happy. I'm a lot happier in my professional life than I was before, so that's awesome. In terms of running, I broke my marathon PB, I broke my half marathon PB, and I ran my first ultra marathon. So that's all pretty cool. I did also technically break my 10K PB, although it was during the half marathon and it was downhill, so it doesn't really count, unfortunately. I did set a goal at the beginning of last year that I wanted to break my 5K PB and my 10K PB last year, but that didn't happen officially, just because I do remember setting aside a weekend to do a 5K time trial, and then I got a calf strain, so I couldn't do it. And then just because I started training towards the ultramarathon, there just really wasn't a suitable time to try and do a 5K time trial. So I just didn't worry about it. I just put it to the back of my mind and thought I'll tackle that at a later date. I'm not training for 5K, so I'm not going to try and do a 5K time trial. There is a sort of period of time this year where I might be able to try that again. I'm going to do a park run that's on the edge of Sheffield. So we'll see if the stars align. I'm not going to force it if it feels like my training isn't really actually geared towards getting me to a 5k, flat 5k PB, then I'm just not going to worry about it. But there's a weekend that I've identified that might be a possibility, so we'll see. I'll just see how it goes. In terms of a 10k PB, I think that's a little bit more realistic for this year, because I am going to be kind of gearing towards longer distance training, so doing a flat 10k PB is pretty achievable, I think. It would require me going at a pace that I think is really quite feasible for me, even without doing a crazy amount of training. So yeah, I think a 10k PB, an official one, can happen this year. In terms of races, I am doing another ultramarathon this year. It's not until the very beginning of September. It is a bit shorter than the Round Rotherham, but it is a lot hillier. So this ultramarathon is my kind of like main goal race for the year, and what I really want to focus on as a kind of tie-in goal is to reach that finish line healthy, with a really good base mileage built up and just ready to hit that race. So one of my main goals this year is to get consistent training in. I don't really feel like I had a proper run of consistent training last year, not that was like really good and well put together. I was learning a lot about how my body responds to certain training, and I think I'm going to take what I learned last year and put it into some really solid training blocks this year, and I think it will be super achievable for me to basically get a really good base built up so that I can just springboard off that base training into whatever race I want to do, essentially. So in terms of building up that base training, I want to make sure I have a minimum of 3 runs a week, preferably 4, but 3 is my kind of bare minimum, with 2 kind of low intensity cross training sessions that are outside of the swimming pool, and preferably 1 to 2 cross training sessions inside a swimming pool. So we're looking at 3 to 4 cross training sessions a week on top of 3 to 4 runs on average, 2 lower body strength training sessions, and we'll sprinkle some upper body stuff and bouldering in there just to keep the mind fresh. So that's what I want my base training to look like. It would be really cool to get to a point where I'm averaging 50 kilometers a week, but I'm not really going to go off distance. I'm going to go off time, because I think that works better for me personally, because of some of the routes that I do. 20 kilometers around Kinder Scout is obviously going to take me a lot longer than 20 kilometers just sort of round Sheffield. So I need to base my training off time on my feet, I think. What I found last year was that because I was basing it all off distance, I would be trying to stick to my doing 21 kilometers for my long run, but because I was doing them on different terrain, they would vary in length quite a bit. So some weeks I ended up doing a lot more than I needed to or should be doing, and my weekly intensity would be up quite high compared to sort of maybe the weeks either side, so my training wasn't really consistent in its effort. So I'm going to work on that this year, and I'm going to do it based off time so that I know exactly how long I'm spending out there rather than how long I'm traveling for, if that makes sense. So possible 5k PB, possible 10k PB. Definitely going to be working on consistent training, definitely going to be getting to the start line of that ultramarathon in September and smashing it. At the moment, I do have a bit of an injury that I'm rehabbing from. My previous video, if you've watched it, was just talking about how I had come across some IT band problems. So I was going to take 4 weeks off running, do a bunch of cross training. What happened with that was I took 4 weeks off. I did a bunch of cross training and strength training, and then I did a test run on the Wednesday before Christmas, and a different type of knee pain came in about 25 minutes into the run. So I think there were IT band issues, and I think I have kind of dealt with those. But in the IT band issues kind of fading into the background a bit more, it has revealed that there were other niggles that needed addressing. I went to the physio, she had a good prod of my knee and massage and stuff, and ascertained that I have a tight ligament in my knee that kind of didn't really recover properly after the ultramarathon. Obviously, running 50 miles kind of sent my body into a bit of shock, and certain parts of my body just didn't recover as quickly as others, and this sort of ligament in my knee, every time I tried to run, would just start to protest. basically kind of like, no, not this again sort of reaction, I suppose. So what she said was that I should run, I should carry on doing any cross training I'm doing, and I should keep doing my strength training, but with my runs I needed to basically build them back up really slowly. So she suggested starting off with 1 minute on, 1 minute off, so 1 minute running, 1 minute walking, and then so I did that between Christmas and New Year. And then this week I'm on 2 minutes running, 1 minute walking. Next week will be 3 minutes running, 1 minute walking, and we'll just build it up really gradually like that. I do have a Moorland Marathon to run on the 5th of March, which I'm not going to be able to put a proper training block in for. But what I will be doing is structuring my current training as though I'm still training for it. So I'm going to be doing a workout run once a week. I'll try and get a bit of tempo work and then an easy run in. So I'm going to do my 3 runs and I'm going to do some extra cross training, just try and get a bit more walking in, because I'm definitely going to have to walk bits of that Moorland Marathon. So I'm going to get some walking in, going to try and get some swimming in as often as I can, and yeah, just spend a bit of time each week on the rower or the elliptical as well, just to boost up the workload so that I'm in some sense of fitness for that marathon. Because of the injury situation and the shape I'm in, I'm not going to tackle it too crazy. It's going to be a long day out and I'm basically just going to try and get around it. If I happen to get around it in a decent time, then great. And then after that, I will have some time to build back up again slowly and address any injuries and niggles that reappear during that race. I had initially wanted to try and take part in as many of the Fell Running Association championship races as possible this year, but that is not going to be sensible, I've decided. What I really need to focus on is getting in a consistent training base. I need to focus on making sure my training is solid, that I understand how my body reacts to certain stimulus and certain training situations. I need to get that nailed, and then next year we can worry about actually being really competitive. I will take part in maybe 3 of the championship races this year. My goal race in terms of the FRA champs is the Old Crown Round. That's the one I'm going for, and I might take part in Lower Borrowdale Skyline and Buckden Pike, just to give me a bit of variety. Lower Borrowdale is a kind of medium length run. It's 20 kilometers, so yeah, medium, and Buckden Pike is a shorter one, so that'll give me a little bit of a different stimulus in terms of training for a faster race. And then Old Crown Round is going to be basically my tune-up race for my ultra marathon in September. The ultra marathon itself is going to be the 70 kilometer race that takes place as part of the Atjan Wild Islands Festival on the Faroe Islands, which I'm quite excited about. As I said, it's not as long as the Round Rotherham, but there is a lot more elevation. There is over 1,000 meters more elevation, and it is only 10 kilometers less distance, so it's going to be really tough. So I do need to definitely make sure I get in a lot of hill training over the coming year. I feel like I'll be able to prepare myself really well for it. I feel like I'm in a really good place in terms of, although I'm rehabbing from an injury right now, I feel like I have a really good understanding of what I need to do. So that's good. And I'm really excited about that. Okay, I've rambled enough. I hope that you have some really cool goals that you're aiming for this year. If you don't, then it's not really a big deal. Like, New Year's resolutions are pretty arbitrary a lot of the time. It is cool to have goals and to work towards things, but if you're struggling to come up with something or think of something to work towards, it'll come in time. There's no rush in these things. I feel like there's a lot of pressure to always have things in January that you're like putting out into the world and be like, yes, I'm working towards this year. And that's not always the case for everybody. Like, sometimes you need a bit of extra time, you need the right stimulus to come along and initiate a reason or a motivation for you to aim for something, and that's totally fine if that doesn't happen in January, if it happens halfway through the year. But yeah, so I hope whatever you're aiming for, that you hit it and achieve the goal. If you don't have a goal or anything to work towards yet, then it'll come. I have full faith that it will come. If you've got any specific PBs or races that you're shooting for this year, feel free to comment them down below, and I will go and get on with my day because I have a bunch of stuff to do. Cool. I'll catch you around. Goodbye.